Tonight, Elon Musk is not here. And let's be honest, if he were here, things wouldn't be very different. Because Elon Musk has a special talent. He can be in the same room as everyone else and still be mentally somewhere in the future. Most of us wake up and check our phones to see what time it is. Elon Musk probably wakes up and checks whether humanity is still on schedule. We worry about being late to work. He worries about being late to the future. Now pause for a second. Does that sound impressive? Or does it sound exhausting? Because it's easy to admire people who live 10 years ahead. It's harder to imagine actually living like that. Every day, every thought, every decision. Elon Musk isn't interesting because of rockets. Rockets are just metal and fire. Cars are just batteries and wheels. Money is just numbers that stopped being exciting a long time ago. What's interesting is this. The man cannot sit still. For most people, stability is the goal. A routine, a sense of safety, a version of life where tomorrow looks a lot like today. For Elon Musk, that sounds terrifying. Stability feels like stagnation. Comfort feels like danger. And here's the funny part. Failure doesn't seem to scare him nearly as much as comfort does. Think about that. Most of us avoid failure. Elon Musk avoids being comfortable. We slow down when things feel uncertain. He speeds up. We say, let's wait and see. He says, let's build and find out. Now be honest with yourself. Which one sounds cooler and which one sounds healthier? Because those two things are not always the same. People love to say Elon Musk is fearless. But I don't buy that. Fearless people don't rush like this. Fearless people don't push this hard. Fearless people don't seem like they're constantly racing against time. Elon Musk doesn't look fearless. He looks like someone who is deeply aware that time is limited. And that awareness changes everything. Fear doesn't disappear. It just gets repurposed. Most of us feel fear and stop. He feels fear and accelerates. Same emotion, different reaction. Now let's talk about control, because this is where things get interesting. At the core of Elon Musk's mindset isn't just ambition, it's control. Control over uncertainty, control over what comes next, control over outcomes that most of us are comfortable leaving to chance. Uncertainty makes humans uncomfortable, so we manage it with small plans, small goals, small promises to ourselves. I'll start next week. I'll figure it out later. I'll see how it goes. Elon Musk manages uncertainty by building entire systems around it. He doesn't wait for clarity, he manufactures it. We lower expectations to protect ourselves. He raises expectations so high that failure becomes normal. And when failure becomes normal, fear loses some of its power. If everything might fail, then failing isn't special anymore. That mindset creates innovation. But it also creates pressure and isolation. Because not everyone can live at that speed. Not everyone wants to, and not everyone should. When your mind is constantly occupied with the future of humanity, it becomes difficult to relate to someone who's just trying to survive the week. And that's not an insult, that's reality. Human emotions evolved to handle immediate problems, food, safety, belonging, not interplanetary travel, not artificial intelligence, not the long-term survival of an entire species. So when we listen to Elon Musk, there's always a strange mix of admiration and discomfort. Part of us thinks this is incredible, another part thinks, I don't want this life. And here's the question we rarely ask out loud. Why do both of those feelings exist at the same time? Because Elon Musk isn't a blueprint. He's a case study. His life isn't something to copy. It's something to observe, to analyze, to question. When people say, be like Elon Musk, what they usually mean is, be ambitious. But ambition without context is dangerous. Because ambition never arrives alone. It brings pressure. It brings loneliness. It brings a constant feeling that nothing is ever enough. And Elon Musk doesn't seem satisfied for long. Not because he's ungrateful, but because satisfaction lives in the present. And the present is not where he likes to stay. Most of us chase happiness. Elon Musk chases outcomes. Those are two very different pursuits. We want balance. He wants momentum. We want peace of mind. He wants progress. Neither approach is wrong, but they lead to very different lives. So let me ask you something. If you could live the way he does, would you actually want to? Not admire it, not talk about it, not like a tweet about it. Actually live it. Wake up every day with the weight of massive decisions. Carry responsibility that never turns off. Trade comfort for impact. Would you do it? Or would you quietly choose your stable routine, your predictable days, your manageable dreams? And if you choose the second option, does that make you weaker or just human? Because maybe the real lesson here isn't about Elon Musk at all. Maybe it's about understanding what we value and what we're willing to pay for it. Because progress always has a cost, and someone always pays it. Sometimes it's the world. Sometimes it's the person pushing it forward, and sometimes it's both. So here's where things get uncomfortable. Because once the admiration fades, and the jokes land, and the awe settles, we're left with a quieter question. What does Elon Musk's life say about ours? Not about rockets, not about Mars, not about technology, about us. Because watching someone like Elon Musk forces a comparison, and comparisons are never neutral. We don't just see what he's doing, we see what we're not doing. And that's where the tension lives. We tell ourselves stories to make the gap feel smaller. He's different. He's built for that. That's not a normal life. All true, and also convenient. Because as long as we believe his life is unreachable, we don't have to ask ourselves whether we're choosing comfort or just avoiding risk. Now let's be clear. This isn't about saying everyone should live like Elon Musk. That would be ridiculous. Society doesn't need 8 billion people trying to save humanity at the same time. We'd all be exhausted by Tuesday. But society also doesn't move forward without people who are willing to live differently. And that's the uncomfortable balance. Because progress depends on people who are okay with being misunderstood, people who are okay with being criticized, people who are okay with carrying pressure most of us would immediately try to escape. So here's a real question. When was the last time you did something that genuinely scared you? Not mildly uncomfortable, not awkward. Not, I hope this goes well. Actually scared. The kind of scared where your mind starts listing reasons to quit. The kind of scared where comfort suddenly looks very attractive. Most of us don't live there anymore. We've optimized our lives to avoid that feeling. We choose predictability, we choose security, we choose paths that feel reasonable. And again, that's not wrong, but it does explain something. It explains why watching people like Elon Musk makes us feel inspired and uneasy at the same time. Because deep down, we recognize a version of ourselves that we chose not to become, and that recognition is rarely comfortable. We like ambition in theory, we just don't like the consequences. We like the idea of big impact, we just don't like the cost. Because the cost is rarely glamorous. The cost is stress, isolation, uncertainty, criticism. The cost is being wrong in public. And that's something most of us are deeply allergic to. Elon Musk fails publicly, over and over again, and instead of hiding it, he keeps going. Now pause. Imagine failing that visibly. Imagine your mistakes trending. Imagine your doubts becoming headlines. Would you still push forward, or would you quietly step back and choose a life where fewer people are watching? Because that choice matters. Not morally, not ethically, psychologically. There's a reason most people prefer stability. Our nervous systems crave it. Constant pressure isn't heroic, it's draining. So when we look at Elon Musk, we shouldn't just ask, is this impressive? We should ask, what does this require? Because ambition isn't free, and no amount of success makes pressure magically disappear. If anything, it multiplies it. More responsibility, more expectations, more people depending on your decisions. Success doesn't simplify life, it complicates it. And this is the part that rarely makes it into highlight reels. We see the launch, we don't see the weight, we see the vision. We don't see the anxiety that comes with it. We see the outcome. We don't see the constant fear of getting it wrong. So maybe the real question isn't, why is Elon Musk like this? Maybe the question is, why are we so fascinated by people who live this way? Because fascination reveals desire, and desire reveals values. We're drawn to extremes because they challenge the middle ground we live in. Elon Musk represents motion, speed, relentless forward momentum. And when we compare that to our carefully balanced lives, something feels off. Not wrong, just exposed. Because balance is comfortable, but it's also quiet, and quiet doesn't trend. Now let me ask you something personal. If no one were watching, would you live differently? If there were no applause, no criticism, no expectations, what would you actually choose? Because sometimes the pressure to be extraordinary comes from outside, but sometimes it comes from inside. And we project it onto people like Elon Musk. We turn them into symbols, icons. stand-ins for questions we don't want to ask ourselves directly. Questions like, am I playing it safe because I value peace, or because I'm afraid of failing? Am I content, or just comfortable? Am I choosing this life, or defaulting into it? These aren't questions with clean answers. And that's the point. Elon Musk doesn't exist to give us answers. He exists to disrupt our assumptions about success, about ambition, about what a meaningful life looks like. And maybe the most important realization is this. You don't need to live like Elon Musk to live a meaningful life, but you do need to be honest about why you don't. Because meaning isn't about scale, it's about alignment. Alignment between what you value and how you live. For some people, that alignment means pushing boundaries. For others, it means building something small and stable. Neither is superior, but pretending one is easier than it is does a disservice to both. Elon Musk's life is not an instruction manual. It's a mirror. It reflects back the trade-offs we all make, and the choices we quietly live with. So tonight isn't about idolizing him, and it's not about tearing him down. It's about recognizing what his existence stirs in us. Admiration, resistance, curiosity, relief. All of it is valid. Because in the end, the future isn't built by one kind of person. It's built by people who understand what they're willing to sacrifice and what they're not. And that might be the most honest conversation we can have, not about Elon Musk, but about ourselves.